Hello everyone, this is Carissa back here again at our new launch series. So today I'll be talking about Chuan Park. So I'll look at the awesome view from one of the blocks that we gotten from the developer. So this is one of the views that you will be having, full landed view, unblocked facing. But of course there are few blocks in Chuan Park itself. We will go through all the blocks, what is their facing, what's the goods and bads, and also some of the price point that you might want to consider and taking into consideration what kind of price point is worth going into. So this is starting off on an analysis. Okay, now Chuan Park is along Lorong Chuan in District 19. Okay, so this is one of the mega developments, I would say blockbuster of the year, because this project itself, I think a lot of buyers are waiting for it. Total, there are 5 blocks with 916 units and 2 shop lots itself. So TOP date, we're estimated about 2028 December. It will be the site plan and distribution chart. So now, like I've mentioned, total there's 4 blocks. So landed view is over here and MRT is just right at the doorstep. So actually it's just a 1-minute walk, or even like within the development itself, it's just a very short walk to the MRT station. Yeah, so location wise, if you talk about wanting to be very near to MRT station, this is definitely the one. You can't get any closer to the MRT station as this. Okay, and then later I will share on the location itself, what is within your surrounding, what it will be your views, what is your neighbors, how high is your neighbors, and things like that, to actually also understand what kind of views you will expect. Okay, Chuan Park is here. MRT station is just here. For the blocks over here, we're facing Spring Bloom. So Spring Bloom, we're talking about maybe about 17 floors. And the units over here are actually facing Mei Wan Playground. Maybe over here is block facing. And while this part, we're facing Golden Hill Park condominium, which is 20th story. And for here, of course, I would say that it's the most premium one because we are having a full unblocked facing. But of course, along here, it's also the road that you have to take note. So lower floors might get a bit of road noise. And for the blocks over here, facing Nanyang Junior College, which is considered quite unblocked as well. And over here will be facing Scala and also Chiltern Park, which is 10 story and 16 to 17 stories. So these are your nearby condos that is surrounding you and some of the views and what you can actually expect from this. But I think most importantly is depending on which bedroom types you're looking at, we will go into the in-depth analysis from the smallest bedroom all the way to the biggest one. So distribution chart, 916 units. We are looking at 2 bedrooms having a 44%, and then 3 bedrooms at 47%. Actually, the 4 bedroom and the 5 bedroom are the least. So let's say we're looking at something in the investment wise, I think we still have a good chance of getting a unit in Chuan Park itself, or even a 3-bedder for own stay. I think the developer has set their biggest foothold on the 3-bedder itself, targeting most of the buyers buying for own stay. So now, I think, yes, it's a blockbuster, but because we have a lot of projects that are surrounding us that are much older, so I think buyers will have concerns whether is this new development still worth to enter or still worth it or not. So I will be doing some analysis on whether the price point, is it still worth entering, and also some analysis whether does it still make money. So now, is new development worth it or not? So in this area itself, there is new launch in the past 13 years. And also, most important, there is a huge gap between the new and the old development. So now I will be taking an example of Riverfront versus Evergreen. So Riverfront was launched in 2019, which is actually side by side with Evergreen residents. So this is 29 years and now currently this is 6 years old. So 23 years of difference. So let's see how exactly is the price gap and then how they actually perform over the years. Evergreen Park, this was purchased in 2020 at 825,000. When they sold it, it was sold in September 2024 at 405,000, which is with a 49% of profit. Now, if you look at Riverfront is definitely priced much higher. We're talking about 666 PSF Evergreen versus 1193. That is 80% higher. So a lot of times, a lot of buyers, they say, is 80% higher still worth buying or not? But let's see how they actually perform. So 80% higher, they were purchased 1.323 million. So with a profit of 727,000, that is a 55% profit. So that means to say they are bought 80% higher than their surrounding, which is just side by side, Evergreen Park. They still hold a 55% profit. Next case study I will be talking about will be Chuan Park versus Spring Bloom. So for example, if now we want to go into more current comparison between, if let's say I want to go for Chuan Park, what will my surrounding be? With this comparison, I will take Chuan Park, a 99 years new versus a 29 years old property, which is Spring Bloom, 29 years apart. What price point is still worth entering? Spring Bloom, 1302 square feet unit, sold in 2024 at 2.068 for a 3-bedder. So let's say, for example, if Chuan Park were to be launched at 2005, it is only 58% higher. And if it's 2006, that is 64% higher. So if you compare to the previous example that we have, Riverfront versus Evergreen, Riverfront was launched and purchased at 80% higher than its neighbourings, and in the end, eventually they also make about 55% worth of profits. So I think this is something that we can consider, we would want to consider when it comes to making our comparisons between a very old condo and versus a very new one. So then you can know what kind of price point are we entering today and last time. With this kind of history, 80% higher and still made a 55% profit. If today we are entering at 58 or 64% higher than your neighbors, you might expect a decent profit. So let's say Riverfront 80% higher than Evergreen, they also made similar or 55% profits. It is more compared to the Evergreen Park. So if let's say Chuan Park were to be launched, let's say just 64% higher than Spring Bloom, what kind of profits do you think you will expect? Of course, I can't predict the profit, but I'm just saying historically, this has been done. New launch most of the time will outbid the surrounding resale properties. Plus, it is because of the current market also, that is also why Green Park prices also shot up a bit. So if you look at the past transactions of Evergreen Park, it has been on a stagnant move until the recent years where most of the properties also increased. Having said that, that will also help Riverfront push up the price, but still it outperformed even though it's purchased at a higher PSF than Evergreen Park. Okay, now let's jump straight to the 2-bedroom analysis. Now, 2-bedroom, I will be taking reference from Normanton Park because it's the same developer. Developer pricing strategy for 2-bedroom. I'll be sharing some tips or some of the things that we can take note when it comes to the launch day. Okay, so Normanton Park, they have a few facings. We have the pool facing, AYE facing, and also sea facing. So now we're comparing between 5, 2, and 39. Okay, so now we will go to the premium in facing, how the developer actually price the units. And then from there, we will take Normanton as an example. From there, let's compare premium facing versus non-premium facing, high floor versus low floor, the price difference in terms of percentage. Then we will probably get a feel and a gauge of how we want to use it on Chuan Park. But first, let us understand the concept first of doing this premium facing calculation. Okay, so now I will be comparing Normanton's city facing versus the sea facing, the price percentage difference. Let's compare from low floor first. So low floor, we're talking about a low floor city facing versus a sea facing. The percentage price difference, the sea facing will be 5% higher. As compared to low floor, also 5% higher. But when you go to the high floor, right, you will notice that the sea facing is only at 5.8% higher, which means to say in this concept, right, we will probably consider the high floor sea facing because in terms of percentage or gap price wise, the AYA facing and the C facing is only a marginal 5.8% as compared to low floor, which is the view is almost the same, but there is a huge gap. So I won't consider the lower floor, but I will consider the higher floor in this aspect. Next, I will compare the AYA facing versus the pool facing. So now, pool facing is priced higher because of the premium in the facing, of course. So low floor wise, 4.4%, mid floor is also 4.4%, and when you go to higher floor is 4.3%. If that's the case, I will go for AYE facing high floor, because the price gap between the low floors and mid floors are higher as compared to the high floor when I can get a better facing. It's a bit confusing here because I also do get confused, but we go step by step because every different kind of facing we will have to consider different things also. Now next is C facing versus pool facing. Pool facing and the C facing is a marginal 0.6% and 0.6% for low floor. So in this aspect, because low floor, we can't really see anything. We definitely can't see the C. In this aspect, we might want to consider a low floor pool facing because the price gap is only 0.6%. Whereas for the high floor, now we look at this is a pool facing. In a high floor pool facing, what can we see? We probably can't see any, we probably see your neighbors. Okay, so if we look at this, the premium between the high floor C facing versus the pool facing, right, it's only a 1.5% difference. That means the C facing is only higher by 1.5%. In this aspect, I will go for high floor C facing. Probably I can still catch a glimpse of the sea or even a full unblocked view or park view. This is how we actually derive what kind of percentage between premium and non-premium stack, and then the floor difference wise, and how the developer actually price the units, so that we know that when we go to the launch, on the launch day itself, we know that we get a few prices, we will know the percentage difference and what is worth going into. So let's say, like for this example, I will go for a high floor C facing because it's only a 1.5% higher than the pool facing unit, which honestly for high floor pool facing unit, you can't see anything, or you can probably just see your neighbors. C facing definitely view wise will be better, but yet the developer only priced it at 1.5% higher. Yeah, so this is what I mean by how we actually gauge how the developer price the units and which are the units that are still worth entering in terms of their pricing, what is actually the worth buy. So we need to get a few prices on the launch day itself, then we compare on the spot so that we know what is a worth percentage price difference to enter in terms of the premium and the non-premium. For Normanton, it's a very good example for us to gauge how the developer thinks and how the developer actually price the units. Now we will compare by premium by per floor jump. Then we know in terms of percentage wise, how much is the per floor jump. From low floor to mid floor, what is the percentage per floor jump. And in terms of mid to high, and of course the highest floor, what is the per floor jump. So now let's take this park or sea facing 2-bedroom for example. Now from low to high floor premium, per floor jump it's 2,947 per floor. But in terms of percentage wise, it's a 3.4%. From here, we can clearly see that from low to mid floor, the per floor jump is the lowest. So that means to say that we can probably consider, if we want to go from the lowest, then the per floor jump it's at this percentage. But if we go from the low floor towards the mid floor, it's only a marginal of 1% per floor jump. That means in this aspect, we will go for somewhere in the mid-tier range because the per floor jump is the lowest. Now we see another example. Pool facing, in terms of the per floor jump, the pool facing for mid floor is the lowest. That means to say that the per floor jump from the low floor to the mid floor is actually the lowest. So we will take somewhere in the mid floor range. And of course, the high floor will be about 1.5%. If I were to go for this pool facing 2-bedroom, I will go for mid floor again. Now, AYE facing, now this is different already. If you look at this, right, Per floor jump from the low floor to the high floor is 2.6%, so there is no point going for low floor. That means to say that low floor is 1.1 and high floor being at 1.5. So that means to say the mid floor to the high floor, the percentage wise is only 1.5%, whereas for low floor to mid floor is 1.1%. So in this aspect, I will go for 1.5% because it's a very marginal gap between the low floor and the mid to high floor. That means per floor jump as you go higher is lower, and then this will make more sense if I were to go for AYA or city facing. Having said that, that means I will have a better facing, but yet per floor jump wise, in terms of percentage, I am lower than others. Next, I think we also want to know about the rental in a district with many condo supply. Yeah, so I think this is something that we might want to consider also. So now if you look at Riverfront versus Sengkang Grand Residence, if we look at Sengkang Grand Residence, this is 17 minutes walk to MRT station. Average rental is also about 3,003. Whereas 1 minute walk to MRT station, there's 3,006. Of course, it can demand slightly higher. But if you look at the transactions rates, within August itself, we do have quite a few number of transactions going on. I would say that even with a lot of supply in the vicinity, there are still tenants going around. And of course, we have competitions like Florence, Riverfront, Affinity, Gardens, etc. So on the other side where Chuan Park is located, if we were to compare it with Scala, Scala is about 5 minutes walk from MRT station, and ours is about 1 minute walk. It's right at the doorstep. Average rental for Scala is 4,005. So let's say, for example, if we were to enter Chuan Park at 2006 PSF for 700 square feet, 2-bedroom, that will cost us 1.82 million. Let's say, for example, in terms of rental yield, let's say we talk about $5,000, okay, $5,000 rental yield as compared to Scala, which is 4,005. I would say that it's quite decent because this is also 12 years old. If let's say I'm new, $5,000 rental yield, my rental yield will be about 3.3%. Let's say if we demand the same rental of 4,005, my yield will also be a 3% yield. So I would say that it's still pretty decent in a sense. This is probably something you might want to consider in terms of appreciation and also in terms of rental yield. Even if I enter at 2006, can I still demand for a decent rental yield? Okay, now let's go to the 2-bedroom layouts. Now, 2-bedroom layouts, we are looking at BP1 of outer and inner facing, 9, 27, 36, 37, and 10. So this is the only one. This and this is with the outer facing, the rest are all inner facings. So layout wise, it's the L kind of kitchen, traditional kind of 2-bedroom layouts. But the only thing is you need to notice, we need to take note is that there is no windows at all the bathrooms, and then smaller dining area for 700 square feet. So next, it will be the 2+ study. We have the B2, 732 square feet with stack 1, 2, 17 with inner and outer facing. We have 1, 2, mostly at the outer facing, and the rest will be more of an inner facing, and of course 18 and 17 as well with outer facing. Then whereas for this BP2A will be all of outer facing. Like for here, we know that this is landed. Again, we need to see the price gap between these two different layouts, the facing wise, premium in terms of percentage wise, what is the premium during the launch day also, then we can then know that which layout is actually more worthwhile to enter. But of course, later I will do a little bit of calculations for you to better understand what is the thing that we want to consider also. Okay, so layout wise, this is dumbbell layout with a little bit more awkward dining space. Both the toilets, there's no windows as well. Same for this layout. There is no windows for both the toilets, but it's a traditional kind of layout. We have a more proper dining space, and this one is study in between two of the bedrooms, and this is more like a study space where you possibly can enclose it. Yeah, so there is still space for you to enclose this part. Okay, so now if let's say we were to do a comparison between both again, I would say that the 2-bedder top choice will be the 2+ study, outer facing, stack 6, 33, and 40. which is here. Stack 6, 33 and 40. As per square foot might be cheaper for 743 except for stack 13 and 24, which is this one is landed view. This one definitely will be priced slightly higher. Like I've mentioned, of course, during the launch day, you can also ask for the price for the landed. Then you can decide whether is it worthwhile to go for the outer facing that is facing some other condos, or in terms of percentage wise, what is the price gap the developer actually priced the units. So if let's say this is a unblocked view and is priced a lower percentage, let's say for example 1% edge over the outer facing that is facing another condo, then maybe we can consider this landed one. So again, it will be on the actual day itself, then you will be able to gauge what kind of pricing. If we just say that our talk about as comparison to our second choice will be 700 square feet. Okay, so this 700 square feet, let's just say is slightly priced lower because of their outer facing. Just say $100 PSF difference as compared to the inner and outer facing of the 2-bedroom types of 700 square feet. Let's say we just compare these two, 700 square feet at 2650 PSF, at 1.855 million. Then the 743 will make a lot of sense because if it's priced at 2550, $100 difference like I mentioned, it will be priced at 1 million. That is the 40k price gap. In terms of that, I will go for the bigger unit as compared to the 700 square feet. Yeah, because it's a marginal 40,000 price difference as compared to each other. Then if that's the case, I will go for 743. That's why that is my first choice. But if let's say the second choice is priced at 26, then maybe I will go for 700 square feet. So it really all depends on the actual day how the developer actually priced the units. Yeah, so of course, again, if we are looking at the inner and outer facing of 743, we can also compare it to the landed view, which is the premium view, and how much in terms of percentage is the difference between the premium and the non-premium. Then from there, it's easier for you to gauge which one is more worthwhile to enter. Okay, now next, 3-bedroom analysis. Now, 3-bedroom, we will need the developer pricing strategy for the 3-bedroom. Okay. Now, taking reference from Normanton again, because Normanton is the latest project, right? Park C facing stack 11, then pool facing stack 69, and stack 74 facing the strata landed, and also this is a west facing. Okay? Yeah. In this aspect, now we will compare between the west facing and the C facing for the 3-bedder. So the west facing is 915 square feet. Then the C facing having the 936 square feet. We compare both of the low floor, mid floor, and also the high floor. Now, if we compare the west facing of the low floors, we're looking at about a 4.3% higher for the C facing and the west facing. Low floor, we're looking at a 3% in terms of the price gap. So that means this is higher by 3%. Then we look at the high floor again, it's 3.5%. So in this aspect, I will go for park or C facing at 3% price gap. That means I'm having a west facing and yet I'm only priced lower by 3%. If that's the case, if I want to go for low floor of west facing, I will go for the low floor west facing low floor. But if I want to go for C facing, I will go for this instead. Yeah, so this is how we actually gauge what is the percentage that is worth entering still. So 4.3%, of course, is not a lot, but I will feel that this one is what I will go for in terms of the percentage price difference. Okay, so next, west facing versus pool facing. Now from this we can see pool facing is priced only at 2.4% higher than the west facing unit of 915 and 947. So which means to say in this aspect, right, I won't go for mid floor already. Yeah, so because mid floor is about 4.3% higher than the west facing unit. So if that's the case, I will go for low floor pool facing unit. And then I still get a bit of the pool view, and yet I'm only priced 2.4% higher than the west facing unit. So this is how I normally gauge how, in terms of percentage wise, which unit is more worthwhile to enter. Okay, now park facing versus pool facing. Now this is totally different again. Now if you look at 0211 versus pool facing unit, is a 1.9% difference. That means this is higher by 1.9%. Okay, now if you see mid-floor and high floor, then it's only a margin of 0.3%. So if that's the case, then I will go for high floor, or even I won't even consider the mid-floor, because mid-floor is also 0.3%. If I want the view and I'm only paying a 0.3% higher than the pool facing unit, which I see nothing, then I will go for high floor sea facing. So that's what I meant by when we do this price differentiation and price plotting. So now again, we will have to do the premium by per floor jump. Sea facing, low to floor is 1%, and then mid to high floor is 1.9%. So in this aspect, it will be more worthwhile. That means from low floor to mid floor, the lowest per floor jump. From low to high is 3%. So in this aspect, I will go in between this range. And then next, this is pool facing, then will be a bit different. So we also need to gauge within the development itself from C to AYE. If let's say I choose the AYE, then I would want to know which level should I go for. Then now if it's pool, which level should I go for? So just now when we mentioned, for here, we will go for C facing high floor, correct? So premium by per floor jump. Again, now we need to see within each facing what is the per floor jump. Then we can derive what is a good gauge to enter as well. Okay, so we can see that the C facing or the park facing, each of the per floor jump from low to high floor is 3%, low to mid is 1%, and mid to high is 1.9%. So in this aspect, of course, we will go from low to mid floor in terms of per floor jump. But of course, we need to also see, compare it to with what I've mentioned. Let's say I buy the same, one is sea facing, one is pool facing, the price gap between each of the units. Then I will then derive with which one should I go for in terms of, then maybe if that's the case, then probably I will go for this one, 1.9%, because it's not 3% still. So I won't go for low floor for sure. Okay, then for pool facing wise, per floor jump low to mid is 3.6%. So if that's the case, then maybe we will go for somewhere between higher range, because higher floor, the percentage per floor jump is actually much lower. That means if I go as low as possible, my per floor jump is higher in terms of dollars and in terms of percentage. If that's the case, then I will go for higher, since I'm only paying 1.2% more. Yeah. So this is how I normally derive or calculate the jump. And then for the west facing wise, again the same thing. If we talk about the low to mid floor, it's about 6,000. So 6,000, how do we derive? So it's about 2.4%. But whereas if we go for higher floor units, it's only a 1.6% mid to high. That means if we already, if let's say for example, if we were to choose, let's say it's left with mid floor, then we will have to see from mid floor to high floor, what is the percentage. If this is, let's say 4%, then I will consider lower floor. Yeah, for now, after the mid floor onwards to the high floor, it's only a 1.6% per floor jump. Then if that's the case, then I will choose somewhere in the higher floor range. Yeah. Okay, so 3-bedroom analysis, 3-bedroom classic. So now C1 type, 915 square feet, stack 8 and 11. 8 and 11, so outer facing. Yeah. And then versus 936, 7, 12, 25, 24, 34, 39. So it's all outer facing as well. Okay. In terms of layout wise, this one has a longer walkway. This one slightly shorter walkway, wider as well. Comes with window. This one also comes with window. In terms of the layout wise, I would feel that here, this one will be better because here there is a glass, and also you can have your proper dining space over here. And whereas for here, because of the longer walkway, here will be slightly narrower. So if you were to place your dining here, it will be a bit more squeezy. So if I were to put a chair here, then people cannot cross already. Yeah, so they can't get across to other side. So may block a bit of the corridor walkway. Yeah. So next, our top choice for the 3-bedder classic will be the 915 square feet C1 type. Okay, which is stack 8 and 11. Yeah. So Next will be the 3-bedroom deluxe. 3-bedroom deluxe, we have 958 square feet, stack 14 and 23, outer facing. This one is facing landed. Yeah, so this one is also a bit of landed. Yeah, but in terms of layout wise, so this one window, but kitchen may be a bit dark, because of the bomb shelter. Yeah, and then plus dining area is on this walkway from the entrance, so it might have a bit of blockage here as well. As for the 1023 square feet, is also all outer facing, 3, 4, 31 and 42. Window and the WC. This one don't have WC, no wash closet. Okay, so this one comes with a wash closet as well. But the only thing is that, of course, they have a foyer area, but the dining area, it's a bit off lah. If you put your dining here, you can only put a very small dining, plus the entrance of the kitchen is here, like blocks away, the walkway on the entrance. So your dining, probably you have to put it at a balcony or something. Okay, then for the 1033 size, stack 5, 32, 41, outer facing. Same thing, kitchen will be slightly darker, but there is proper dining area because the dining is actually tucked like this. So you can put your chairs like this. Yeah, so I think in terms of layout, compared to this and this one will be slightly better, but of course in terms of the brightness of the kitchen, there won't be so much there as compared to this one. But of course you still have a window here as well, window in the toilets as well. So our top choice for the 3-bedroom deluxe is the 1033 square feet with proper dining space, etc. So in terms of reselling in the future, what some of the buyers will look for, because when TOP or if you want to sell, people will all compare within the project itself, so they will compare all of the sizes. So when it comes to layout wise, I think this is of a better layout. You will have much edge over the rest of the other. Okay, so let's say for example, if we were to compare with the 958 square feet unit that is facing the outer facing, but here will actually be landed and more of an unblocked view. Assuming that the PSF will be slightly higher given the size and also the better facing, let's just take $100 again. For example, if 958 times 2006, that is 2.49 million. But if my 1033 is priced slightly lower at 2005 PSF, I'm paying a 2.58 million for a proper 3-bedder with wash closet, dining space, etc. And of course, in terms of size, it's definitely bigger as well. But I'm paying only less than 100K, lesser than a unit that is of a smaller size than me. So for our 3-bedroom deluxe, I will pick this 1033 size. Okay, so 3-bedroom premium. Now, premium we have C3. 1206 square feet, 6, 16, 30 and 43, inner and outer facing. Inner facing having 30 and 43, 16 also inner and outer facing. Okay, yeah, so in terms of layout wise, let's go for the next one. Type C3A, stack 26 inner facing versus 1227 stack 15 outer facing. So now we compare the layout. These 3 layouts, I would say there are some differences with this bomb shelter at this corner. This one doesn't come with a bomb shelter, come with a store instead that links to the kitchen. And then this one comes with a bomb shelter on this side. So in terms of foyer area, this one straight into the unit. This one small foyer area as well, but of course you have a bomb shelter tucked at the corner. So after comparing 3 of the layouts, right, now we compare between should we go for a bigger unit or actually the smaller deluxe is sufficient. So now let's compare the pricing wise. So if let's say 1206 square feet premium versus 1227 versus 1033 square feet, this one is landed facing right? So if in terms of price point, of course, this one, just say this is higher in terms of PSF 2006, we will derive this at 3.19 million. And where this is inner facing, we're looking at 3.075 million. Let's say, for example, this is outer facing, right? And then 2005 PSF, for example, this is 2.58 8.2. So in terms of dining space wise, of course these two will be slightly bigger. Living and dining space wise, this one will be slightly narrower, and then this two comes with walk-in wardrobe as well. Is it still worth paying almost 500 to 600,000 more for this? This one you can decide lah. Yeah, so if I were to go for this 3-bedroom deluxe, because in terms of efficiency of the layout, I feel this is sufficient. But if I want to go for the space, I want the size and everything, then likely I will go for this. But is it worthwhile to pay 500 to 600,000 more for just this space which you can't really tell? Yes, you can tell some of the space in terms of the living room, but both has proper dining space, both has proper living space. It's just maybe this one slightly more narrow. So maybe you can do a comparison between the length of these two, because we don't have it now. Yeah, you can see whether is it still worthwhile paying 500,000 more for this space and this space. Yeah, but if in terms of my recommendation, I will go for the 3-bedroom deluxe. Okay, now we compare between the 1206, 1227 and 1335. Yeah, sorry, I haven't touched on the 4-bedder yet, but 1335 is one of the layout, but I'm just comparing between price. So if let's say, for example, because inner facing, like I mentioned, 2550 PSF, that divides 3.075 million in terms of the inner facing for 1206 square feet unit. For 1227, we are looking at 3.19 because it's landed facing, slightly more premium, 2006 PSF. But if we were to look at the 4-bedder example, because definitely 4-bedder will be priced inner facing 2550 versus maybe $100 more for a bigger unit. That's why they were priced slightly lower. We're looking at the 4-bedder at 3.27. So if that's the case, then maybe I will go for the 4-bedder instead of maybe even this 3.19 or 3.075, because I'm paying a 200k difference compared to here. So I think when you want to go for the bigger premium 3-bedder, you might also want to consider the price point for the 4-bedder as well. Then you will be able to make a better informed decision which unit type should we go for. Yes, of course, maybe you don't need the 4-bedroom, but again, I think it's good to have a more in-depth comparison between the smaller 3-bedroom. Yeah, like I've mentioned here, right, I will go for the smaller 3-bedroom because of the size and everything, and in terms of the price, I won't want to pay 500 to 600k more for these two sizes. Yeah, but if it's the 4-bedder, then I might want to consider, if I'm already paying a 3.19 or 3.2, I'm paying like 80,000 more, then might as well I'll go for the 4-bedder instead. Yeah, then again, on the day itself, then you can decide which one, depending on the pricing, depending on the launch price, then we can then decide which one actually is more worthwhile. Okay, so now 4-bedroom layouts. Just now I already mentioned the 1335 square feet stack, 35 and 38, inner facing the pool. Layout wise, there is no bomb shelter. There is a store over here and comes with a junior master as well, which is good. Huge master bedroom, I would say, for both of the sizes. This is 1389. This one comes with home shelter at the corner. This one is more straight into the unit, less privacy. And then this one has more privacy, of course, for the 1389, both inner facing. Both comes with junior as well. Okay, so my top choice for the 4-bedder will be the 1389 square feet, because like I've mentioned here, 1335, this one, the store is a bit, if I need to house my helper, this might be a bit too small. The 1389 square feet will actually be preferred because it's a 54 square feet difference. In terms of jump wise, in terms of price wise, to be honest, if let's say they're both having the inner facing, in terms of pricing wise, if they will just be a very negligible amount. Maybe with the same PSF, we're looking at about 3.403 for the 1389 square feet minus 3.27. Yeah, 133,000 difference in terms of that size itself. But the 4-bedder, the 1389 square feet unit will definitely be priced lower. But in terms of layout wise, this one, it will be an edge over the 1335. For the 4-bedder, I would pick 1389 square feet. Okay, so 5-bedroom layout. So 1550 square feet, stack 22. This is, I think, one of the most premium unit. That's why they place at the having landed views. Okay, so the key point to note is that there is no wardrobe for both of the bedrooms. I don't know why. In terms of layout wise, junior master at this corner, yeah, and then home shelter as well. A bit of wasted space for here, I would feel. Yeah, a bit of wasted space for here because the home shelter is being placed at this corner. Yes, you can do like your shoe cabinet and things like that, but here is a bit of a wasted space. Yes, there is a foyer, but a foyer could be shorter, right? Yeah, so if the door entrance is like that, then you still have your foyer space and yet you don't have that wasted space. But because they have to place the home shelter on this corner, so I feel there's a bit of a wasted space. But nevertheless, we need to know the supply of 5-bedroom in Lorong Chuan itself to gauge whether is the 5-bedroom worth buy in this area. Okay, in Lorong Chuan itself, there is only all the old condos. Basically, there is no 5-bedder other than Aranda Gardens. Yeah, there's only 3 units basically. So when there is no 5-bedder in this area, means that when you have a unit that comes out in the market after the TOPs or after you stay there for a few years, when supply is low, demand is high, that is where you get the price as well. But of course, there are also a lot of landeds in the area we can see. So whether is it worth still buying a 5-bedder or should I go for a landed instead? Okay, so let's just do a comparison between the landeds and a 5-bedder. A price gap between a 5-bedder and a landed. Landed below 4 million, built up mostly approximately 2,000 square feet, which means that each floor is 1,000, may feel smaller than a condo. And types of landed available are older freehold terrace that requires major renovation, older 99 years old cluster houses. Okay, if we were to look at that, right, we are looking at about at least a 1 million and above price gap for decent landed that requires minimal renovation. So what happens when there is very little supply? So I mentioned supply is low, demand is high. So let's just see some of the other areas that I did some research when there is low supply of 5-bedders or there are no supply of 5-bedders. So I did a research in Tampines. There are also very little 5-bedrooms. Treasure at Tampines was TOP in 2023. 5-bedroom of 1668 square feet. There's only 110 units. And within the area itself, we're talking about East Point Green, TOP in 1998. Only 8 units of 5-bedroom. My Manhattan and Modena, there's only 4 bedrooms. So the direct competition will only be East Point Green, which is a very old condo that TOP is in 1998. And if you search on the Property Guru, basically Treasure at Tampines, there is only 13 units for sale because a lot of the buyers, they buy there for own stay. So very seldom buyers, when they buy, stay for a while and then they want to sell. So there is also very limited supply or very limited people that wants to sell. Now, if we look at the profitable transactions today for a 5-bedder in Treasure at Tampines, they purchased in 2020, exit January 2024. We're looking at close to 1 million of profit, 981,000. As compared to the others, which was sold slightly earlier, we're looking about at least a 500 to 700 worth of profit. How about the another area like Marymount, for example? Marymount, we compare with Jadescape, we also in 2023. 5-bedroom of 2099 square feet, only 39 units back then. As in for that project itself, there's only 39 bedroom of 5-bedder. As compared to the neighbors, we're talking about Marymount, Season View. Basically, only Xinmin Plaza, TOP in 1996, has a 5-bedder. And again, it's a very old condo. Now, let's see Jadescape's profitable transactions. 2020 also, they purchased. Exited in 2023, profit of 1.12 million. The rest are easily at 700 plus, even this is close to 800, 600 plus. So when supply is low, demand is high, that is where the price shoots up because the buyers willing to pay for the unit that they looking to own stay. And Jadescape is also surrounded between a lot of landed. If we look at the landed in the vicinity of Jadescape that is sold, we can also see that a 2 square feet land size landed was sold for 3.4. Then this is sold for 4.388. But Jadescape was actually sold at 4.55. It's even higher than the landeds in the vicinity. So why? Actually, there are buyers that don't want to stay in the landed, or if we talk about this kind of landed, you will need to do major overhaul, or you need to do major renovation, tear down, rebuild. Tear down, rebuild easily today is about minimum 1.2 to 1.5 million. Plus you need to wait, and a lot of factors involved. Yeah, some buyers, they are not willing to wait. Some buyers, they are not willing to go through the hassle. So I rather go for a condo. I have the facilities. I don't need to pay for my own maintenance. MCSC will settle for me. So some buyers, they are willing to pay for this kind of price. So this is why sometimes 5-bedder in the vicinity that is rare. For example, like Chuan Park, Jadescape, Treasures, these areas don't have 5-bedder in the area. Then it's something that you might really want to consider. Okay, so I've come to the end of my analysis for Chuan Park. If you have any other questions, or which unit type you should go for, what are the other analysis that I have, or you have other projects that you want me to analyze, do drop me a text or drop me a DM. Once again, I'm Carissa, and I'll see you soon.